Electric scooters are inherently more expensive than their petrol-powered counterparts, and until now, below the 1 lakh rupee mark, you only had the base TVS iQube or the base Bajaj Chetak. Now, Honda has decided to throw its hat into the ring with this, the QC1. But does that lower price tag also come with a lower set of abilities? Let's find out. Before I tell you what the QC1 is like to ride, let's address its design and feature set. From the front, the QC1 is visually very similar to the much more expensive Activa, and the differences boil down to a different tail light design, different alloy wheels. The QC1 runs on a 12-inch front, 10-inch rear. The Activa uses 12 inches at both ends. And the QC1 also has a few missing cosmetic touches in comparison to the Activa E. The QC1 uses a negative LCD display, and this display is rather simple, has no Bluetooth connectivity. The information shown to the rider comprises a speedometer, a battery SOC percentage gauge, an odometer, and 2 trip meters, in addition to the telltale lights. Now, the QC1 also comes with a side stand cutoff, but unlike other scooters where you need to manually turn the engine or the motor back on, once you pick the scooter off the side stand, the motor automatically turns itself on. One missing feature that I find odd here is that the QC1 doesn't come with a reverse mode, unlike every other electric scooter on sale today. And unlike the Activa E, which has practically no underseat storage, the QC1 has a relatively spacious 26-litre underseat storage compartment. You also get a cubby and a bag hook on the front apron. Overall, the QC1 does have a bit of a budget feel to it, but it never feels obtrusively cheap or poorly made. With a 1.5 kWh battery delivering a claimed IDC range of 80 km and a 50 kph top speed, the QC1 spec sheet is decidedly modest. That being said, if you're going to use it strictly in the confines in and around your home, I don't think you're going to feel the performance is lacking. In the 30 km that I rode the scooter, the battery SOC fell from 100 to 50, and this was done almost exclusively in standard mode. Eco mode restricts your top speed to 30 kph and is best reserved for situations where you really need to find a plug point before you run out of juice. And speaking of charging, the charger supplied with the QC1 takes a glacial 6 hours and 50 minutes to top up a flat battery to full. It can get up to an indicated 53 kph top speed without too much strain, although initial acceleration is a little sluggish. For the sort of performance it has, the braking power is just about acceptable, although as is the norm with the drum brakes, they are rather dull and devoid of feel. And you also get a parking brake clasp, which is a handy feature to have on a scooter. At 89.5 kilos, the QC1 is just a few kilos heavier than I am, and it feels wonderfully light on its feet out on the road. Even smaller riders should be able to manage this machine perfectly well. The seat too is decently spacious, and you should be able to carry a pillion in reasonable comfort. What hampers the QC1's overall comfort is the rather budget-feeling suspension. The thing is, over smaller bumps it's just about okay, but big bumps do unsettle the QC1 quite a lot, and you can feel the suspension crashing through its stroke quite quickly. Summing the QC1 up is a little more difficult than it usually is in my line of work, because while this is a relatively affordable EV, it's also obviously hamstrung in some crucial areas. If you're somebody whose daily usage isn't quite a lot and you want an electric scooter on a tight budget from a reputed manufacturer, the QC1 does fit the bill, but there are two big reasons to look elsewhere. The first is that for just 5 to 7,000 rupees more, you could get a base TVS iQube or the base Bajaj Chetak, both of which have a little more range and a much higher performance ceiling. The second is that for a comparable or even lower amount of money than the QC1, you could get yourself a 110 or 125cc scooter from a reputed manufacturer, including Honda itself, and you'll never have to worry about range anxiety or the performance. Ultimately, the QC1 is likely to find takers in those who are willing to look past its obvious shortcomings for the inherent advantages it has of the low running costs, the relative affordability, and the reputed badge it wears.